My name is Margaret Lawson, and the day my daughter-in-law looked me in the eyes and said, "This dinner is for family only," I smiled, picked up my purse, and quietly walked out. Nobody stopped me, not even my own son. The silence hurt more than her words ever could. I had helped them buy that beautiful house. I had paid part of their mortgage every single month for almost 3 years, not because they asked, because I loved them. Because I wanted my son Ethan and his wife Jessica to have an easier life than I did. I never expected anything in return, except a seat at the family table. That Saturday afternoon I baked Ethan's favorite apple pie, the same recipe I'd made every birthday since he was 7 years old. When I arrived, the driveway was already full, neighbors, friends, Jessica's parents, even people I had never met. I carried the pie to the front door and rang the bell. Jessica opened it. She looked surprised. Then annoyed. "Oh, you're here," I smiled. "Of course. I wouldn't miss family dinner." She stepped outside, closing the door behind her. Her voice became cold. "Actually, we've changed the guest list." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She folded her arms. "This evening is for family only." I thought she was joking until she added, "I didn't invite you." My heart sank. I quietly said, "Ethan's mother." She shrugged. "And I'm his wife." "Things are different now." Before I could answer, Ethan walked to the front door for one brief second. I thought he would tell her she was wrong. Instead, he looked at me and, "Please don't make this awkward. Call you tomorrow." Tomorrow, after everything I'd done for them. Tomorrow. I looked past him. The dining table was beautifully decorated. My pie was still in my hands. I smiled, placed it on the porch and softly said, "I hope you all enjoy dinner." Then I turned around, walked back to my car, and drove home. I didn't cry. Not until I noticed something lying on the passenger seat. It was the latest mortgage statement. The automatic payment was due on Monday morning, and for the very first time in nearly 3 years, I wondered, what would happen if I simply stopped paying Monday morning? I woke up before sunrise, made myself a cup of coffee, and sat quietly at the kitchen table. The mortgage statement was still lying there for almost 3 years, on the first Monday of every month. I had transferred $2,400 into Ethan's mortgage account. It wasn't because I was rich. After my husband passed away, I sold our vacation cabin instead of keeping the money. I used it to help my son buy his dream home. He cried the day I handed him the check. "Mom, pay you back." I smiled and hugged him. "You already have, just be happy." Never expected to hear the words, "family only." At exactly 9:00 a.m., my phone buzzed. Reminder from my bank, automatic mortgage payment due today. I stared at the screen. Normally, I would approve it without thinking. This time, I pressed cancel payment for the first time in 35 months. No money left my account. I quietly placed my phone on the table. Then I whispered to myself, if I'm not family, my money shouldn't be either. An hour later, my phone rang. It was Ethan. I didn't answer. 5 minutes later, he called again, then Jessica, then Ethan again. By lunchtime, there were 12 missed calls. Finally, a text message arrived. "Ethan, Mom, did something happen? The mortgage payment didn't go through." I calmly replied, "No, simply stopped paying." Dots appeared, then disappeared. Finally, another message. "We talk." I answered with only 3 words. "Of course, tomorrow." The same answer he'd given me at the front door. The next morning, there was a loud knock on my house. When I opened the door, Ethan was standing there. Jessica was beside him. The 3 of them looked happy. Jessica spoke first. "Margaret, there must be some misunderstanding." I folded my arms. "I don't think there is." She forced a smile. "Always helped us." I nodded. "I did." She looked confused. "So, stop now." I looked directly into her eyes. "Because Sunday, you made something very clear. You said that dinner was for family only." She stayed silent. I continued, "If I'm not family, I don't see why I should keep paying for a family's house." The first time. Jessica had absolutely no response. Jessica looked at the floor for the first time since I'd met her. She had nothing to say. Ethan finally broke the silence. "Mom, can we come inside?" I stepped aside. The 3 of us sat in the living room. No one spoke for nearly a minute. Finally, Ethan whispered, "I didn't know you'd been paying the mortgage every month." Jessica's head snapped toward him. "What? You never told me that." He looked ashamed. I was embarrassed. I didn't want people thinking we needed help. I quietly stood up, walked to my desk, and returned with a small blue folder. Inside were 35 bank transfer receipts, every single monthly payment, every dollar. Jessica slowly flipped through them. January, February, March, year after year. Her face turned pale. "Paid all this?" I nodded. "Never wanted recognition. I only wanted my son to have a good life." She couldn't even look at me. Then Ethan quietly asked, "Mom, why didn't you ever tell us how much you'd sacrificed?" I smiled sadly. "Because parents don't keep score. They do remember how they're treated." Room became silent again. Jessica suddenly started crying. I thought Ethan was covering everything." "Never knew," I gently replied, "whether you knew or not. You still looked at me and said, 'Family only.'" She covered her face. "I was horrible. Judged you without knowing the truth." Then something unexpected happened. Jessica reached into her purse. She pulled out the house keys, placed them on the coffee table, and quietly said, "I don't deserve to live in a home that's being paid for by someone I pushed away." Ethan stared at her in shock. "Jessica," she shook her head. "No, your mother deserved respect. I gave her humiliation instead." She turned toward me. "I can't change Sunday. If you'll let me, I'd like to start making things right." Before I could answer, there was another knock at the front door. It was the bank's mortgage advisor, and what he said next left both Ethan and Jessica speechless. The bank advisor smiled politely as he stepped inside. "Mrs. Lawson, I hope I'm not interrupting." I invited him in. He placed a folder on the coffee table. "Only came because your mortgage assistance agreement expires this month." Jessica looked confused. "What agreement?" The advisor opened the folder. "The past 35 months. Mrs. Margaret Lawson has voluntarily paid part of your mortgage. Beginning next month, the agreement ends automatically." He looked at me. "Would you like to renew it?" The room became completely silent. The advisor handed me a pen. I looked at Ethan, then at Jessica. Finally, I closed the folder. "No," the advisor nodded respectfully. "I understand." He shook my hand and quietly left. The front door closed. No one spoke. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. "So, you're really done helping us?" I smiled gently. "No, I'm done paying for a house where I wasn't treated like family." Ethan lowered his head. "I deserve that." He looked at me with tears in his eyes. "Mom, I let my wife disrespect the person who sacrificed the most for me. I should have stopped it the moment it happened." I reached over and held his hand. "I don't need an apology that lasts one afternoon. I need respect that lasts a lifetime." He nodded. "Have it." Jessica quietly stood, walked over to me and hugged me for the first time in nearly a year. "I'm so sorry. I thought being the wife meant I came first. I forgot. No wife should ever ask a son to stop honoring his mother." A month later, Ethan and Jessica refinanced the house in their own names. They never asked me for another mortgage payment. Instead, every Sunday, they came to my house. Jessica cooked dinner beside me. Ethan set the table, and before anyone sat down, Jessica always smiled and said, "Mom, your seat is ready." Thanksgiving, she surprised everyone. She stood up in front of the entire family and said, "I once told Margaret this dinner was for family only." She looked at me. I was wrong. Wasn't just family. She was the reason we had a family home in the first place. Room erupted in applause. Ethan walked over and hugged me tightly, then whispered, "I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never feel like an outsider again." I smiled through my tears because that day I realized something. Money can help someone buy a house, but only love and respect can make it a home.